Hello and welcome. Just let me know. Let's see. Welcome, Olaumi. Hello and welcome, everybody. If you can hear me, please let me know. And if you can see me, please let me know. And then we will start the session. Welcome. Good evening, everybody. I can see Olaumi here. Who else has joined? Good evening, everyone. I can see Olaumi here. I can also see Tosin. Welcome, everybody. So as you're joining, kindly mute yourself, please. As you're joining, kindly mute yourself. Please, as you are joining, kindly mute yourself, please. I would also like to know, I'm typing something on the chat group. I just want to be sure that everybody can see me and everybody can hear me. So please, if you can see me and hear me, please let me know. I'm putting something up on the chat group. So if you can see me and hear me, please let me know. It will be kind of you also. If you can please mute yourself. Could you please mute yourself? Thank you. I'm hearing some interesting background noise. Please mute yourself as you're joining. Please mute yourself as you are joining. Please mute yourself. Omonike, kindly mute yourself. Yes, thank you. Tosin, please mute yourself. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. So please, can you all hear me? I just need to be sure. Can you all hear me, please? Hello? Okay, so Omonike says she can hear me. Thank you so much. Can you all hear me? Can you all see me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? So one person has spoken. Who else is talking? Please, can you see me? Can you hear me? Mrs. FFO, yes, thank you. You can hear me. Who else? We're expecting about 20 people. We're expecting about 20 people. Yes, so you can see me, you can hear me. Awesome. Please mute yourself as you're joining. And then before we go into the business of today, I also would like to ask a question. How is your surprise holiday going? How is your surprise holiday going? How is it going? This is our holiday. The entire world is on holiday. Nobody is flying. No school is open. Worship centers are also not open. What else? Offices, businesses are closed. Wow, like the world is on pause. Everybody's attention is on one thing, and we're all saying humanity before religion, humanity before everything else. So how is your holiday going? Somebody says, Omonike says, working from home, but not too funny. I can imagine. Especially parents with kids. In fact, one of my friends said something to me that, Oyinkansola, you know what, that I am in the toilet and I'm hiding in the toilet because my son has called me over 200 times today. Like I am practically saying, Mommy is in the bathroom. So how has your surprise holiday been? Working from home, but not too funny. My son wants to play. Nobody wants to play. That's like my son. Yeah, he wants to play. He's not paying bills, no house rent, no school fees. You know, so how is your surprise holiday going? Omonike, Mrs. FFL, Wumi, everybody, how is your holiday going? How's your holiday? Welcome, Zainab. Welcome, Tosin. How is your holiday going? What's going on? Oh, somebody says I ran into the car to hide. He followed me there. That's permanent love. That's what's going on. So another question is for all of us who are, okay, Wumi says still working. Yes, Wumi is a fraud analyst, so he still goes to work. FFO says, I've always worked from home, but my daughter is just coming out of measles. God has healed her already, and then we pray for rest for two of you and both of you, and we pray for joy afresh for both of you also. Who else? How has working from home been? While we're giving some good people time to join us, how has working from home been? If you can still see me and hear me, please let me know. How has working from home been? I think that it's the first week that we're even attempting the lockdown. I think next week we have to also be at home, and then we just pray that all of us get back because we're social creatures. We need each other. We need to connect, and we need community. You know, we need ourselves to pull this through. So how has this been? Who else is saying something? Who else is making money while at home? Confess now and let us pray for you. Who is making money? Who is making money? What's going on? Who is making money? Okay, awesome. So we're planning better uses of our time. Who is making money? I hope we're going online to make money and every other thing. So welcome once again to Emotional Intelligence for parents who desire to raise emotionally stable kids. We're in interesting times, and COVID has come to remind us of our priorities also. So I have with me here somebody I'm going to introduce in about a minute. Someone I respect. I appreciate his work and his contribution to the parenting spectrum and the personal development industry in the country. He will be speaking for 45 minutes on parenting, and then we will take 5 minutes break, and then I would show up to speak on emotional intelligence and how to be an emotional intelligent parent. But I will just not speak. I would actually be giving you 4 practical tools. Tosin says, I can't hear you. Tosin, I'm not sure what is going on. I think you should please check your system or something. Can everybody else hear me? I'm not sure why Tosin is not hearing me. You may need to increase your volume or something, or switch on and switch off and switch back on again. Yes, so I think that you should try and sort that out. I'm not sure. Okay, so somebody says they can hear. Tosin, I'm not sure why you cannot hear. Please check whatever device you're using. Yes. So it is making money while at home. Yes, I am, honestly, because I was ready for all of this. But it's okay. So we can hear Tosin log out and log in. Yes, okay. Please do that. So I was saying I would introduce him pretty soon. He will be talking for 45 minutes, and then we go on 5 minutes break. The essence of the break is for you to please use the bathroom and do any other thing you desire to do. And then we'll come right back in 5 minutes. And then in 5 minutes, I will speak on emotional intelligence and give you 4 practical tools that I just developed those tools and I'm sharing for the first time with my tribe, which are the people joining in today. I will give you 4 practical tools that you can use daily, weekly, monthly, whenever you want to use with your kids. And then the tools are from ages 3 to 17. Ages 3 to 17. So I think that, and I'm very aware that it will be useful to and for everybody. So we're about to start. Another thing about this is that beyond the fact that you are participating live, we would also share the recording with everyone. What that means is that between now and Monday, everybody would have access to the recording. Please don't get to the office. Don't send us any message, nothing. You would have access to the recording by Monday. I beg you, no direct messages on my phone, nobody saying anything, because you people will just not remember that it's a holiday, it's a weekend, people have families. This was how I begged last week, and people were still asking me, we have not seen recording. You people should be children of God. You will see, you will get the access on Monday. Yes, so I would be inviting my friend, my brother, and another expert right about now to take it off from there. His name is Mr. Akinroko Akinola. He would be talking to us for the next 45 minutes on parenting and everything we need to, like a good number of things that we need to pay attention to. So welcome with me in just about 10 seconds. Welcome with me, Mr. Akinroko Akinola.
Well, good evening, parents out there. Like Emotion Doctor had said, it's someone that I respect so much. I respect the grace of God upon her and the great job she's doing just to make every parent well okay. I mean, to normalize their emotion, because I know that greater percentage of our relationship with our children is actually anchored on emotion. The kind of things that we do towards emotion. The state of our emotion, how we relate. Please, can you mute?
Somebody just got in now. One awesome person just got in. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Somebody just stepped in. Kindly mute yourself. Titi Lola, please mute yourself. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Please mute yourself. Please just mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, she's spoken pretty much. My name is Akinropo Akinola. I help parents to achieve the best from their children. So it's an awesome experience we're going to have here today. So everything we're going to learn today here, I want every parent to make use of them. Please don't just say that you want to attend this meeting. Now, at the back of your mind, you know what you want to do. Because I know some parents, a lot of people that we've engaged, they speak to us like, I've heard you, I know. But my own is what I would do. No, you can't just always have your own if you really want to raise emotionally balanced child that will grow up to be emotionally strong adults in the nearest future, in the next 18, depending on the current ages of the children that you have. So quickly, let me define who a parent is. A parent is someone that can influence the children under them. A parent is someone that can influence children under them. Why did I define it this way? Because, in time past, parents, when you want to define who a parent is, they will tell you as someone that has the capacity to give back to children and to raise them, that is the future. But, the reality of today that we have has changed that fact. It used to be a fact, but today, reality, that fact has changed. How did it change and why? It changed simple because these children will know and will not always be under our care 24/7. They will go to school. A teacher in their school is a parent. They will go to school. They won't fly to the school. Probably is a driver that will take them to the school. A driver that will take them to the school is a parent. The gatekeeper in the school is a parent. When parents don't even have the luxury of official car or personal car, they go through Okada, they go through Marua, they go through public transport. The driver inside that public transport is a parent. The conductor inside that the public transport is a parent. Then again, when they are even going, at times some of them will be, they will listen to music while the car is moving. That particular singer singing songs is a parent to them because he or she has the capacity to influence them. So pretty much every one of us, whether you have the biological capacity to bring forth a child or not, you are a parent. An auntie is a parent to a child. Even eldest children are parents to the younger ones. So the definition is rightly carved out to suit the reality of today. A parent simply means someone who can influence. So as parents, as core parents, biological parents, you must know who you leave your children with. You must know who you allow to be around your children. And at the same time, you must know the kind of media content you allow the children to listen to. So now, what is parenting? Parenting now is a process of raising children from womb to adulthood. When I say adulthood, I mean age 18. That is actually the process. Any child above 18 is no longer supposed, in a way, to receive further instruction. Not that the parent will really quit. At that particular time, the parent now become the coach. They become mentor. So meaning that anything any child begins to do from age 18 upwards is as a result, is a product of what what content those children have been raised with. So it's a process of raising them through the womb to age 18. So when we're talking about parents or parenting, I say, no, when we're talking about parenting, we're talking about, there's no one to talk about parenting that won't discuss about 4 critical environments around parenting or around the child. The first environment around the child or around parenting is the child themselves. The institution of the child is one of the environments. When we're talking about the institution of the child, we're talking about how parents or teachers or guardians or counselor must know the relational and behavioral tendencies of every child under their care. Please understand that in that phrase very well. I said one of the key environments of parenting is the child. And when you talk about the child, you are saying that the parents must know the relational and behavioral tendencies of the child involved. Why is this important? It's so important because there is no way you want to raise somebody that you don't know. There is this Yoruba that said that you can't barb my hair in my absence. I mean, let me say it. Permit me to say it. I don't know any non-Yoruba that is online here. Yoruba said, you cannot barb my head in my absence. I have to be there. Meaning that for every parent or guardian to raise a successful child, emotionally balanced child, that means that parent must soak himself or herself in the knowledge of knowing that child very well. That is exactly what it means. But guess what? A lot of parents that we see these days don't have the knowledge of this. They just think because they have the capacity to bring forth a child, because they have the capacity to just give birth to that child, meaning that parenting is so natural to them that they can do it. No, parenting is not natural. It is never natural. Though our parents, past years, they raised us through that naturality of parenting, but it is not so. There was a limited knowledge, so we couldn't hold them responsible for the rot that we have in our situation. And no, they tried what they could. Our own responsibility is just to build higher than what they've given us. So that's why we need to give the best for our children. How do we give the best for our children? Through knowledge. By knowing them, we have to know them very well, because a child that you don't know is going to be difficult for you to raise that child. A child that you can't raise, you can't manage. A child you can't manage is going to be difficult for you to maximize the potential of that child. And that's why some parents are so ignorant of the behaviors of their children. I've seen some situations whereby some parents are being invited to school. You know, they ask them that, or maybe they get a report concerning their children that, oh, this child behaved this way, this week, last week, 3 weeks ago. We don't just want to let you know, but this time around, we have to tell you because the thing is actually getting out of hand. And such parents, they just come on board and they begin to feign ignorance. Permit me to use that word. That I don't know how that one came upon him. It was not like that at home. He sits down when we speak to him. I don't know. Maybe it's a peer pressure. But bubble your burst. It is not any peer pressure. Peer pressure will only have expression in the life of a child that has been suppressed. The nature of that peer pressure is already inside the child, but it's been suppressed because of the attitude of the parents to that child. So anytime that the child now gets out of the parents and gets to school or some other environment, the expression is just given. That is exactly what happens. So parents must be able to know the children inside out. There is nothing they say about my child, about my children that catch me unaware. No. When they call me that they did something, someone did this, or the boy did this, I will always say, yes, I know. I know he can do that, and we are working on it. So when I get to the school, I support the school. What do you think we can do together to raise the best out of this child? That is responsible parenting. You don't just get caught unaware about the child's relational and behavioral tendencies. So there are a lot inside the relational and behavioral tendencies. But half the time, we'll go into it. So that is the first environment. The second environment is the parents themselves. A lot of us, we need to rescript our system. Some of our children are having problems with us now because we want to raise these children the way and manner we were raised 40, 45 years ago, even 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years, 25 years ago. That's exactly some of us always say. You know, we engage parents daily, interaction. Some people come to us to have private session with us, and you will see the rigidity in their life. And they are so strong, they don't really want to live the way they've been raised when they were growing up. And at the same time, I don't think we can use the script that we were raised with 40 years ago to raise the children of today. Please let me remind you at this juncture that every generation is important and they are different. And so the mode of training is going to be different. That's why today, most of the courses that we were taught when we were in school, they were not really available again. They've changed. Some of them have been modified. I don't think that there's something called mass communication in schools, in institutions now. I don't think there is. But 20, 25 years ago, people rushed for mass communication. But now everything has been decimated. That is nothing like just mass communication. So the same way parenting of 40 years ago has taken a new turn from parenting of today. Mind you, parenting principles are the same. Please mark that word. Parenting principles are the same, but the methods to achieve these principles can never be the same. They can never be the same because the reality is different with respect to past experiences, with respect to exposures, and at the same time with the knowledge available at that particular time. So what must parents do in order to make sure that the principles of parenting are well thought out, are well expressed in the life of the children? That is one of what we're doing today. One of those challenges parents have in dealing with their children is emotion. Let me explain this further. I'm a product of single mom. At 40, my mom divorced my dad. So though we belong to my mom, I belong to, a stark polygamist. Do you understand what I mean by stark polygamist? My dad had about, 7 wives. Do you understand? So at a point, my mom couldn't just bear. My mom was the third. At a point, she couldn't just bear the pressure again. Then she left. At that particular time, she was a teacher. A lot of things. It is just about a few years ago, I started understanding when I had the knowledge of what emotion is all about through our doctor here, Pastor Oyinkansola Alabi. Do you understand? That was when I knew the hell my mom went through. I had to call her and apologize what I made her to go through. Do you understand? Here, there's the woman that immediately she divorced, not that she remarried, she just, she furthered her studies. A lot of things were done. Through the meager salary she was earning. Do you understand? So there was not emotional support from anywhere. There was nobody to really open up her mind to. She had friends, but some of them were not just those things that she needed. Do you understand? Nobody was giving anything. There was no knowledge about how she can understand her emotion. There was no knowledge about how, she could script her life pattern. Nothing like that. She was just living it. So that was why when anything happened back in the days, and she didn't have any answer to it, the next thing was just to beat us. And I would just hear my mom. My mom would be saying that, do you see any man with me? Do you see any man come into this house to sleep overnight? I'm the only one doing this. So she was not able to understand her emotion. Neither was she giving herself, perhaps maybe there was no emotional stuff, the knowledge to really understand her very well. Maybe there wasn't something like that. So then why am I saying that? I'm saying this, that one of those things we really need to master is our emotion. Emotion is normal, and that's why every parent must really normalize his or her emotion. That is number one. Number two, concerning the script as well, some of us were not really properly raised. And the reason why every parent must look at this, the only way we were raised to obey what our parents did then, majority of us, not many, some parents didn't actually do that, but the most assured way we were raised to believe, to obey them, was through beating, through hitting, through harsh parenting. And that is the same way, that the same thing we brought into marriage, the same thing we brought into our businesses, the same thing we brought into the way we raised our children. Imagine some of us, we brought our deficiency in scripting, we brought it into relationship. And that's why some of us cannot really engage in any active conversation. before you know it, emotional burst. We begin to fight ourselves. It's because some of us, we can't stand our wives. We can't stand our spouses challenging us. We can't stand being challenged about everything that we do, because it was unheard of when we were growing up that our mothers would challenge our fathers. We grew up to see our mothers submitting wholeheartedly to everything our fathers said. And the same thing we brought into parenting, the same thing we brought into marriage, the same thing we brought into relationship, that nobody dared challenge us about anything that happens. These are the things we need to rescript. So if parents had not really rescripted himself or herself, it's going to be pretty difficult for that parent to do what? To raise effective children in today's life. Something I put up a while ago, like yesterday, everything that we see in our children of today is as a result of what we have fed them with. I don't really shy away from that. Some other time, even my children will always say that, see, Daddy, this thing that you do is always the same thing I exhibit. Let me cite one example. Last week, my daughter was sharing something with me, and she said, Daddy, you see, my friends in school always have a problem with the way I relate with them. I said, what do you mean? And she said that anytime she's trying to tell them something, that her voice is always on the increase. And they will always tell her that, bring your voice down. Who is fighting you now? And my daughter will say, she's not fighting. She's just trying to do what? She's trying to explain something. Guess what my daughter said? My daughter said, but Daddy, I guess I took it from you guys. I said, what do you mean? I don't shout at you now. She said, it is now that you don't shout, but you have shouted at me in the past. Like, thank God my wife was around when she was saying it. I just looked at her and I told her, I said, really, we are sorry. And I asked one question. When did you think we stopped shouting at you? My daughter said, I think you guys stopped about 4 or 5 years ago, thereabout. But until I was 10, you guys were still doing it, because she's 16 now. She said, until I was 10, you guys were still doing it. And immediately, what did I do? I'm sorry, thank God, 4 or 5 years ago. And that was when the Ministry of Parenting that we started crystallized. Do you understand? So I apologize that I won't do it again. Some parents will not know of what they've done to their children. My daughter was so open enough to tell us what happened, and I apologized. And she said she would find time to always understudy me again, because it's the script I wrote. So I have to unscript that thing, because I was the one that installed it. I have to uninstall it. So a lot of things that we run, the training that we run ourselves through. Same thing with my boy, aggressiveness. Those things are there. They are my product. I bear, witness to that. Do you understand? I'm just using that, the knowledge now of emotional intelligence, the knowledge in parenting, I'm using that to uninstall those bad behavior that was installed in me. Then unknown to me, I had inadvertently installed same in my children. So please, I want parents to pay attention to every detail of the actions of our children. None of them, they caught outside. We taught them. It's so easy for parents to say that, I'm honest, I don't do that, I don't do it. It's so easy. Let me cite another example. When my son was about 3 years old, we went somewhere and we came in. And the next thing, my son just ran out. What did he go to do? To go and pee outside. Who taught him at age 3? That means I must have done it. Even though I can't remember I did it, but I must have done it. I'm being open now. Do you understand? And immediately I called the boy, why did you have to do this? We have toilet inside now. Why can't you say, no, Daddy, I want to do it outside? I allowed him go. Do you understand? So a lot of things that they teach us, and I tell people that nobody teaches value. Values are caught. They are not taught. They are not taught. It's so easy for us to say that, to give them 10 commandments. Don't do this, don't do that. How do parents behave behind the wheel? A lot of things that we do, they watch. And don't say when they are 1, 2, 3, they begin to watch us. Right from the womb, the children are watching us. Then from the psychology, the psychologists say they came up with this study that when a child is 1 year old, that child has 50% capacity of adult brain. So when a child is 6 years old, the brain of the adult at 6 is being fully developed. So they can really grasp the wisdom. They can see everything that our parents do. They watch. So there's another study that says from ages 1 to 15, children do whatever their father tells them to do. But from age 15 and above, they begin to do what their fathers do. So there's a difference between that. So it's possible that they will listen to you because, fathers will beat them, mothers will beat them. They will listen. Oh, this is what mommy says I should do. This is what daddy says I should do. Fine, I'm doing it. They are being compelled. They are being subjected to to obey because of some things we've conditioned them to obey. Do you understand? But once they are 15, they no longer do what parents tells them to do again. They do what parents do. So a lot of things we need to really take care of. So that's why I encourage parents that please, it is not just easy to just say that you have the capacity to procreate alone, and the next thing you're going to do is to begin to raise your children in like manner as if parenting is natural. It's not natural. You just have to fine-tune yourself. You have to go through many life classes. I know how much I have spent on myself. Daily. For me to uninstall a lot of things that was installed in my life just because I want to raise emotionally balanced children in my children of today. Emotionally balanced adult in my children of today. So the first one, the child. The second one, the parents. So a lot of things parents need to do because for us to really make use of those principles, for them to grow well, for them to affect the society positively, we need to do. Then the third environment that we need to be aware of is the school. This is very, very critical. Schools, they are in charge of impartation of knowledge and career path for our children. But guess what? Schools cannot adequately achieve this without the support of parents. But when parents are not emotionally balanced, when the emotions of parents are not in right order and not normalized, such parents will always go to school to go and fight. Such parents will not even know which particular school to choose for their children. Because sometimes ago, my children asked me, they said in their primary school, they asked this question that I think about 6 years ago, they said, Daddy, would you have still chosen the same primary school we attended to us? Were it now? And I told them, I said, no, I wouldn't have done that. Why did they ask that question? Because they know what they're talking about. And I will tell you, it's a secret I want to share. When we moved to our estate, the first thing we asked for was a nearby school. And that is what most parents ask for. Which school is nearby here? And the next one would be, is the school good? And mostly what you will hear people say around that, the school is good. Maybe when you meet like 10 people, you only see, maybe you will see like 8 out of 10 that will tell you, oh, the school is good. They did it. So immediately we entered the estate, that was what we did. Do you understand? But now I won't do that again because I know better. So if parents are looking for the best school for their children, meaning that they are looking for the school that will really match what they've seen in their children. Mind you, the first environment is the child. And I did say, you must know the relational and behavioral tendency of that child. You must know what that child is cut out for. Yes, it's possible you know. By studying the child, then by being spiritual about your children, you must know. It's possible we know. So once you have known the child very well, then you must be able to know the kind of school the children will be. It is not, your children are not really, they're not really meant for every school. Forget about that. Maybe your friends' children are going there, your neighbors, your siblings' children, your cousins, they are going there. Oh, the school has a name, you know, Ivy League, you know, stuff like that. Forget about that. The first thing you must know is what you have discovered in that excuse me, the capacity you've discovered in those your children. The schools you are choosing, are they ready to match that capacity? Do they have enough content to match that capacity? So parents, we must be able to do that. It is not about the time to be looking for the school to fight. I mean, when they call for PTA meeting, you just go there. If you have really done your homework very well, then the children will be okay. It is not about when they say that, oh, the child does something, then you now begin to go. It's because one teacher is there. No. If you know your children very well, you must be able to match the school disciplinary measure with what your child have. And let me now drop another hint. By the time you register your children in that school, please have a detailed report about the behavioral and relational tendencies of your children. It will make your job easier. Meaning that you know that your child is hyper. Then you know your child can be so edgy at times. And you know what I'm talking about. You know all those things that our children do. Itemize them, write them, then give it to the school. Give it to the teacher, to the class teacher. And be open enough that it's possible, sir, it's possible, ma, that this child will be doing something like this. I have noticed, but please, that is why I submitted all these things so that we can know how to work together to bring the best out of this child. It's possible. By the time you do that, teachers will be happy, the school will also be happy, and almost every time, you know, immediately after a term, do that regularly. It will make the job of the school easier, and the best will come out of the child. Then the fourth environment is the society. When I talk about society, I mean the church, the mosque, the government agencies, the media, and the international community. So, but for now, for the purpose of this meeting, I want us to leave the international community out of this. Let us face our local agenda. I mean, our locality, let us face. So the first one, the last one, which is society and has all those ones there, we have the mosque, we have the church. What informed the decision of the choice of a particular faith center for your family, for your children? Mind you, immediately these children come into your life, you have no life of your own alone anymore. Sorry, you don't have it anymore. As you are taking the decision, as you and your spouse taking the decision, you are taking into cognizance the safety and the well-being of that child, of those children God has given unto you. So in choosing a particular faith center, you must be able to put into consideration the safety of the children. This faith center I've chosen for my children or I've chosen for my family, will they be able to give us the right message that will really commensurate with what we've known about this boy, about this girl, with what we've known with the school that we have chosen for these children? Who is that, or what is that, or where is that faith center that will match it? So those ones you must be able to choose. Then the second one, the media content. This is where mostly the problem is. You see, we can't really tell our children not to listen to a particular song. We can't tell them not to follow a particular social media influencer. You know what I'm talking about. You can't say that they shouldn't listen to a particular song. You can't tell them not to view the picture of a particular media person. Do you understand? But this is what we can do. And it's a simple strategy I adopted in my house. I remember when they were just coming up, you know, I was so zealous, you know, passionate about it. I go, no. My children will not dance to this particular song. So, you know, when they were about age 5, 6, when we took them to some birthday parties and they were dancing there, I would just look at my daughter like this. You know, this girl will be dancing, but immediately she looked at me. My daughter will just freeze, leave the place, walked up to me. And I thought I was doing myself a favor. I didn't know I was erasing the girl. I wasn't raising him erasing her, because that means I have conditioned her mind not to be dependent. Do you understand? You know, that means for every decision she wants to take, she must come to me. Daddy, should I dance to this? So about 6-7 years ago, what did I do? I just told them that, fine, you are at liberty to listen to any song, but guess what? This is where empowerment comes before, what do you call it now? Before enlightenment, so to say. Let me just say that. We need to empower our children very well. Empowerment before enforcement. We need to empower them before you begin to enforce some rules. So I told them, I said, see, while I was growing up, a lot of songs that we listen to, you know, all these Apala, Fuji, Juju, you know, my dad and my granddad, they were good dancers, you know, they love those songs like that. So when they were playing them, we didn't like them, until one day, my granddad now sat me down and just gave me one lyric from this man, Yusuf Olatunji, and I like the man till today. And the man just told me that this is the reason why he listens to this song. And you too, I think you can learn a few things from there. Oh, so I remembered what my granddad told me, and I told my children, I said, see, thank God for the age of technology that we have now. So it's simple. Anytime any new song comes out, download the lyrics, verbatim, word for word, write them out, then match those lyrics against our constitution in the house, the family constitution. Inside the family constitution enshrined the value system, how they can relate socially with themselves. Like emotion doctor said at the opening of this program, she made mention of something that I really, to me, it was a spot on, said that we are social beings. We are social beings. We are not created to be self-isolate. Do you understand? But the situation that we found ourselves, we have to do this. Imagine if this coronavirus had come to the world about 30 years ago. I think we will come out as dumb, deaf and dumb people, because there will not be any social media, no technology to really help us, socialize. So now, and I told them that download this. By the time you finish downloading, match them against what we have in the house. If any one of them negates our value, that means you know what? You know your limitation on how to listen or how to go along with songs like that. Then I have example. When this guy, Naramali, came up with, what is this one? The soapy stuff. I didn't know that guy came up with it. It was my son that told me. You know, the guy had come up with another song before. Nigeria is a go, is a go, is a go. I love it. Because my children, they introduced me to it. I love it. My son just said, Daddy, this guy disappointed me. I said, what's the weak guy? He said, Naramali. What did he do? He said, the guy came up with one stupid masturbation song. Soapy was doing like this, soapy. My son said, Daddy, you've not heard. I said, I've not heard. Then I quickly went to Google. So this is what this guy is doing. And I told my son, I said, so what is wrong? The guy said, it's masturbation now, and it's not part of what we encourage in this family. So I'm not going to like that song. I'm not going to listen to it. You know, with that is being self-restraint. He was the one that called my attention to it. I didn't know that guy came up. But because I've told them, download any song that you listen, that you know is raining. Once you download the song, match it against the value system that we have in the family constitution. Does it go along with it? Fine. It doesn't go along with it. That means you have no reason to listen to those songs. I think parents, we can do better in that line. I see parents, withdrawing their children from listening to some song. When we do that, we have not really told them the reason why they shouldn't listen. And it's not enough to say that the song will corrupt them. No, it has to do with number one thing is, what is it that you have enshrined in your family constitution? Do you have one that you follow? Those things will detail even the disciplinary measure that you want for your children. in any way. So that is about the media. Then about government agencies, that is where parents, I will have to come in. Parents have to be responsibly responsible in our society. How many parents have one thing or the other to do to influence the society? In our estate, on our street, how often do we attend the meetings? Do you understand? Because if you don't attend, a lot of things they decide in that estate, in that street, will affect our children. In my estate, once in a while, I try to organize a parenting talk, parenting seminar there, because I know that if I don't do that, this is the place where my where my children are living now. Something I don't do is going to affect them. That is what is called community parenting. And you see, it is not about how well my children are raised. That's why parents, we must not really be selfish in this area. I see many of us selfish. You know, we lock our children in. We don't allow them to play with anybody around the estate. It's because we are selfish. Because it is not how best they are raised. It is how best other children are raised. These children, they are not going to be with us forever. I see somebody saying that, don't worry, the way I'm going to raise my children, once they leave this place, they go to Harvard. But I tell you, do you believe that most of the children in Mushi, even under the bridge, they can make their way to Harvard? Do you know it's possible? We're talking about scholarship here, it's possible, but guess what? Success, fame, wealth, academic laurel, being a professor, you know, PhD holders will not really negate, will not, you know, take out the problems or the consequences of troubled child. When a child has troubled childhood, do you understand? There is no amount of money. There is no amount of fame. That's why you have some of our, you know, adult senators now misbehaving. Because we thought that because they have money, because they have money, they have power, they have everything, they have influences, that thing will erase the troubled childhood, the consequences of the troubled childhood they grew up with. No. So the same way, if we say we are not going to influence our society now, the same way our children that we raised very well will meet someone that is a PhD holder in Harvard, but that person was raised in a ghetto, or that person was raised by a deficient parents that don't really know anything. And we think money or fame or being important in the world will really erase that. It will never erase. So that's why we have to be involved in our society. When we are involved in our society, one way or the other, government will locate us. And when they locate us, they will call us to come and, you know, impart knowledge in a particular area. You know, I was we're sharing a joke with some friends sometimes ago, and I was telling them that I said some of these politicians, I don't think we are better off them. Why did I say that? I said many of us are not ready for leadership in this country. Why did I say we are not ready for leadership in this country? And I put a poster across to it. I said, how many of you had sat down to pick a particular a ministry in our governance that, let me prepare a paper. When I have the opportunity to meet the governor, the president, or the minister, I'm going to present, this is the paper on transportation. This is the paper on commerce and industry. This is the paper on sports and youth ministry. Do you understand? This is the paper on finance. How many of us have done that? The same way we haven't done that, the same way those people that are made commissioners, that are made senators, that are made ministers haven't done anything. And when they get there, they begin to learn on the job. 2, 3, 4 years, they've not done anything because they're still learning. But if we have perfected the way to really get involved in our society, one way or the other, they will locate us. Then again, I was sharing with somebody, I will say it to openly now. I was sharing it with somebody. I said, somebody like emotion doctor, do you know we don't have the Ministry of Emotion in this country? We don't have it. And if we can have it. And I said, if we are to have it now, who do you think that the president will call out for? Who has been doing pretty well in that community? Who has been working very well there? Of course, now they will look at who the person is and they will pick, let's say, oh yeah, emotion doctor, you are the one doing that. Come and find a way, give us a paperwork, how we can do it, because she has been doing something in that space before. So that is how we can really be involved. It's not enough for parents to sit down, to say that let them begin to do it. If they are doing it the way they begin to do it, the same way we raised our children in 40 years ago, most of the senators that we have now, they were children. Most of them, when we were children, I know their fathers. And they are not behaving well, different from what their fathers behaved. Meaning that their fathers didn't raise them with any value system that is going to be important for a sane society. So in the next few minutes, I am going to round off. I'm going to stop. So I've discussed about 4 environments. Don't forget, the first environment is the child. And for every parent to have what it takes to raise the children very well, that parents must be ready to spend quality time. Discipline children does not start with beating. Maybe we'll have another seminar, another training for that. It does not start with beating. It starts from parents understanding the children very well. So you must be able to understand that child. Understanding the child will make you to manage the potentials the children have. When you're able to manage them, you'll be able to maximize what that children have. Then the second one, parents themselves, we have problems. Some of us, we've not really restricted ourselves. We've not really uninstalled those things we were, installed, we were raised with. Imagine you getting a new computer now. It's a new thing that you install there. Even I remember about a few years ago that I bought a fairly used computer. I had to uninstall everything that was there because I want that computer to perform with the reality of what with the content that we have now. So the same way, parents, for us to really achieve the best for us, even on the job, in everything that we do, we need to really study ourselves and see whether we are still very okay with the reality of the day. Then the third one is the school. The school we're choosing for our children is not about the school that is most expensive. It's not about the school that is most beautiful. It's not about the schools that my neighbors, my cousins' children are attending. It's about the school that has the capacity to match, to commensurate everything that I as parent, I have known and studied about my child or my children, so that everything will just commensurate everything together. Do you understand? Then the fourth one, which is the society. When we talk about society, we're talking about faith centers, we're talking about mosques, churches. Those churches and mosques you are going, do they have what it takes to lead the children well? What about their message? Is the message going to erase, damage them, or going to raise them? Do you understand? We need to know. And talk about the media content. Media content is not about enforcement, it's about empowerment. When we empower our children very well, they will know. We don't need to tell them, because I tell my children that don't wait until I begin to say, this is wrong. You know, and that's why I have peace. They will make mistake. There is no doubt about that. But guess what? Once you have that value system codified into family constitution, everything about them will be, I will always go there to see whether it matches. At the same time, we need to get involved with governance in this society. So that's exactly what I have you in this segment. We'll be waiting for the questions if you have anyone. Thank you for your time. And I want to help me appreciate Emotional Doctor. She's doing pretty well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kinroko. We'll be going for 5 minutes break now. And then the class will, the workshop will start again. It is 5:54. By 6 o'clock, we would resume, where I will be talking about emotional intelligence for parents. And also we'll give you 4 practical tools that you can deploy their tools and their games at the same time with your children between ages 3 and 17. And when I'm done, we will then take questions by 5:30 to 6 o'clock. So I will be talking for just about 30 minutes, and then we'll come back to take questions if you have any. So it is a good time to go on break, and we will see you in 5 minutes. Thank you.
be saving.
Yes. Well done.
Yes.
Welcome back to class. Welcome back to class. Please, I want to be sure that you can hear me. If you can't, just let me know. Welcome back to class. Yes, thank you, Mrs. FFO. She says, this is so impactful. Thank you, Mr. Kinroko. Thank you so much. I need to be sure. Can everybody hear me? Are we all back? Okay, Mrs. FFO says loud and clear. Can I get some feedback before I start, please? Can I get some feedback before I start. Olawumi says ED for Ministry of Emotions. He'll be all right. Just leave me, let me be. So while I'm waiting, let me just sanitize my hand. I hope you guys want to wash your hands. Let me sanitize. Sanitizing is good. So how are we? Is everybody back? I just need to be sure. Is everybody back? Can you all hear me? Can everybody hear me now? I see that Tosin can now. I don't know what was happening to her before. Tosin can now. Can you all hear me? Just one more person and we're good. Just one more person and we're good. Who else? Who else is talking to me about how they are hearing me? Please give me feedback. Please give me feedback. I just need to know. Omonike says she can hear me. Yes. So Charity, can you hear me? Lara, can you hear me? I'm just saying, Titi Lola, can you hear me? Yes. Zainab, can you hear me? I just need to be sure that you guys can hear me. That I'm seeing the different brands of phones that are here, not the names, but can you hear me? Okay, so a good number said they can hear me. Thank you so much. Yes, Zainab can hear me. Good. Thank you so much, Mr. Akinroku, for that impactful session. I also learned. As usual, I love to learn. And then I was tweeting live. So as he was saying it, I was tweeting and all. So we have spoken about parenting. And then I would like to talk about emotional intelligence for parents. And then I will proceed to give you the tools. And when I'm done, we will take question and answer and we'll be done right by 6 p.m. So let me share my story with you. I remember when I was in primary 4, when I was in primary school, I had what you would call double promotion. And then when I was in primary 4, I sat down for my common entrance. Then I got into GS1. And then when I got into GS1, as I was getting into my school, prestigious school, I must say, I was taken into a particular class. It was GS1 Gold, and then GS1 Gold happens to be a class for average students. So let me explain it. We had classes in colors. We had the red, the green, the blue, the gold, silver, orange, purple, brown. So I was in gold. And the reason why I was in gold, according to them, was that my common entrance score was good, but it was not the height or the peak of it. So I was in gold for students who could not make it to the anointed classes of red, green, and blue. So I got into gold, and that was the beginning. And of course, when I was in school, I was 10 years old. So my classmates who were also 10 or around 11, who were in red, green, and blue, had this level of complex, superiority complex. It was very clear that from age 10, there were some that were anointed and some that people knew that were wise and intelligent, and there were some who were struggling. So imagine me coming from primary school, the best in my primary school. Like imagine me a wise kid, and then I get somewhere else, and then I become average and all. Then we got into into the SS classes. And in the SS classes also, the science classes looked like the more intelligent classes. I don't know how we got there, but science classes had the doctors, people who wanted to be doctors, pilots, and those powerful people supposedly. And then the art classes had people who they will shall be all right in real life. And then I had always wanted to be an art student. I loved literature, I loved English, I loved government. I'd always loved the arts. But art students were not seen as the chosen students. They were just seen as students who couldn't make it to science classes, and they're there. And we got in, and it was very clear all through my secondary school that the most intelligent kids were in red, green, and blue, and then later on gold and silver. So I was stuck. I never got to red, green, and blue. I was stuck in between gold, silver, and then by the time I got into the art classes, it was brown. So our students were in the brown class. And then we muffled and did all of this in 6 years. Then I remember on our graduation day, all of us sat down, and the guys and the chosen generation of red, green, and blue had come all dressed up, all looking pretty wise. Their parents were there. They were so excited. They were all that bathed up. Everybody was happy. that, you know, their kids were in the intelligent class, and then the rest of us who, you know, just show up like you guys will be all right kind of people. Yeah, so we got in there, and then they started calling the best students. And in calling the best students, everybody knew where the best students were going to come from. So the best students in geography, it was in the science class, the best students in further maths, blah, blah, blah. So they started ranting the best student, best student, best students, you know, and people were screaming. And of course, it was that section. Everybody knew the best students, and we all knew the whiz kids anyway. We all knew those kids that whether you liked it or not, they were going to be successful because they were already popular, they were already respected back in school and all of that. So after a while, and then you got to, they got to other subjects, and then you're hearing, oh, best students in economics. And upon saying best students in economics, the next name happens to be Oyinkansola and Alabi. And the entire hall, like everybody got quiet. You know, like for the first time, it occurred to them that people in art class existed. You know, and then they went ahead, second best student in literature, Oyinkansola Alabi, second best student in government, it was my name. And everybody started looking at, are you serious? And you know, the look was like, can anything good come out of these kids? I remember leaving secondary school. Here I was from primary school into secondary school. I felt like I had IQ. And then secondary school reminded me of something I wasn't. It wasn't even reminded me. Secondary school programmed me of something I never knew existed. I started seeing what looked like, you know what, if you do not belong here, then you are not chosen and all of that. And I remember getting into university. By the time I was getting into university, I was already done and tired of even being first, second, or third. Like I just, you know what, for me was, let me just pass and graduate. Like I'm done trying to satisfy people. I'm done trying to prove myself. I'm done trying to pretend, you know. I'm done trying to pretend that I needed somebody's permission to be great. You know, so I got into university with my rebellious mind that it wasn't just about IQ, you know, because I'm looking for those kids who used to be first, second, and third. You know, all those people who used to cover their books in school that you can't copy. You know, of course, some of them are successful, but I'm also aware that not all of them are. And the supposed case that they didn't think, I could have mentioned some actually celebrities in Nigeria that I can easily mention, you know, they didn't think that we were going to be successful, but here we are today. And since that time, I had this idea that, you know what, parenting and programming and beliefs are very crucial and critical. That from being a child, it is very key. Now, I don't know who told my secondary school that distributing children into classes, you know, into classes according to their report card is the best thing to do, because I never got out of gold. I never transited into red, blue, and green. But interestingly, I got 3 awards as one of the best students out of 10. Let me be frank with you, there were only 10 best students and I was one of them. And when I was in gold class was meant for students who took positions from 200, because I can still remember clearly, we were a total of 476 in my entire set, 476 in my set. So gold started from 180. So for you to be in gold class, you are between position 180 to 240 something, thereabouts, because we're about 14 class actually. You were between 180 and 220 something. So that was my permanent space, between 180 and 220 something. Interestingly, when they were picking the best 10, I was there. So somebody sat down and concocted the idea that if we put first to 50 in red, if we put 50 to 100 in blue, blah, 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 it would encourage them. But it didn't encourage us. I hardly saw anybody in my set who transited to other classes. In fact, what I saw was they moved from gold to silver, which was like a downgrade and downgrade and downgrade. So part of what we're doing today, and I also saw something when I was growing up, which was comparison, which was the fact that parents would try and correct a child, and in correcting the child, you're comparing the child to another child. Like you want to say something and then you call the sibling's name in the conversation. Then you also call maybe a cousin, a nephew, can you see what this is doing, this on, this on, this on. what you are doing is called generational curses. You are doing something called generational anger, generational bitterness, generational malice. Because what you have indirectly programmed is that somebody is preferred and somebody is not. And in doing that, when you are no more and when you have transcended to where you are supposed to be, you have left that program in that child, that this particular person was one of my problems in life. So Mr. A has spoken a lot about parenting. I will proceed to my tools. If you haven't done anything on emotional intelligence before, quite truthfully, sometimes I wonder where to start, because for me, emotional intelligence, first of all, is about who is the mirror, who is mirroring this. So if you are not an embodiment yourself, it is very difficult to teach it. Emotional intelligence is not something you can teach. It is something you have to first become. You have to first become emotionally intelligent before you go out to be an evangelist. Emotional intelligence is, first of all, embody before you testify. You cannot testify and then be embodying. People must be able to see you and see an iota of peace, of joy, of responsibility, of a difference. So if you have never taken a course on it, please find a way to take a course on it. What I am interested in right now is to go on to the tools. So the first tool I'm going to share with you is what I would be, as I'm typing it, I will mention it and I'll tell you how to deploy this at home. So I am typing this now, and when I am done typing, I will send it to the group and then I'll explain it. So the first tool we will be practicing with our kids is called the emotional success tracker. Emotional success tracker, emotional success tracker. The success tracker is something that kids, especially kids that can hear you, that can speak and that can write. So kids that have their own level of intelligence. I know all kids do, but there are some who are more fluent than some other kids. So those are the kids that I'm talking about now. And I would really put them from age 5, who have some sense of flexibility and some sense of composure. Yeah, so I'll put them from age 5, emotional success tracker. And how does this work? You would run it by your child. So success tracker can be a diary, can be a book that you buy for them. And when you buy the book for them, please write it there. Let them write it also. That is their emotional success tracker. What this means is that every day they should write down whatever part of their day that stands out for them. Whatever part of their day, especially their experiences, whatever part of their day that stands out for them, whatever part of their day. So while they're at school, whatever part. So don't worry from age 5. I have practiced this with my 7-year-old. He will be 8 in August. Don't worry, from age 5, they can do that. So what this helps them do is that it helps them identify experiences. So from school, there was a day my 7-year-old came back and said to me that his classmate, who is a guy, says to him that he's female. You know, and I said, oh, okay, so how did we arrive there? He said the guy just came and told him that he's a girl, that he wants to start using girls' toilets. But of course, the reason why we had this conversation was because he got home, brought out his emotional success tracker, and for him, he wrote it there. He just said, Daniel said he is a girl, you know, and then we had a conversation about whatever he's written down. But imagine if he never had that success tracker. I would never have known that he had a friend who was his classmate and his age mate who already had this agenda of being a transgender. I'm telling you. So it's a way to keep tabs with your child, especially when they can talk and they can write. So let them write out whatever part of their day that stands out for them. Usually I will say whatever positive, but the truth is it can be positive or not too positive. But please gift them a book, no matter how small it is. Let them track their emotions and go ahead and let them put it there. Monday, let them date it. oh, my friend gave me sweet. So let me give you another example. There was this particular school that we practiced this with, and there's a particular guy in that school that apparently, the school is an expensive school. I would have called the name, but the school is one of the most expensive in Nigeria. So the school is an expensive school. This particular guy in this class, his parents couldn't afford the school fees, but he was in the school because his mom is a janitor in the school. So it wasn't because he was paying school fees. It was there because his mom is a janitor. So of course, everybody in his class, his classmates, had that idea. I don't know how, they probably knew, and all that. So they just knew that he didn't have the level of luxury that they had or that they have. Yes. And they never used to invite him anywhere. They will have parties and all of those things. They will not invite him. He was always just secluded. And the guy already started having low self-esteem. And it was clear to him that he didn't belong there. His mother actually said that on one or two occasions that he's told her that he wanted to kill himself. I'm telling you about something happening in GRA Ikeja, that wanted to kill himself, that his classmates didn't like him and all of those things. So one of the revamp that we were doing for the school, this was included, and then they were writing that emotional success tracker. So there was one day that a child went to school. It was her birthday, and then she had invited everybody to her party. And she didn't want to invite that boy, but her mother, who is an emotional intelligence trainer, said, no, how would you feel if you were the one and all of that? So the mother did role play, and of course she didn't like what she was about to do. So she invited the guy. So the guy wrote it in his tracker that, oh, today for the first time I was invited to a party. That was the first time a colleague, the guy is 10. That was the first time a classmate was inviting him. And he wrote down how he felt. He said, today, he wrote the girl's name. Today, so and so invited me to the party. The irony of it was that his mother did not allow him go for that party. And why did the mother not allow him? The mother said he didn't have something to wear. And the mother didn't want them to laugh at him. So of course, when he got to school and everything, the guy was so excited that he for the first time, he felt he was going to belong. But he still did not belong because he didn't have his wishes. Now imagine that guy, if there's no intervention, he will become an angry teenager and an angry adult. And that's how it goes. So one key thing here at the Emotional Success Tracker is for you to please let your child begin to name their emotions. Name their emotions. And I'll teach you how you would let them get to that point where they are naming them. Let them write how they feel. Let them track what is going on. So let them track what is going on in school, how they are experiencing it, and at home. Emotional Success Tracker is very key. The second tool I'm going to give you now is what I'm writing on the screen, which is called So the second tool I'm writing that I just typed is called the Monthly Chatter Garden. Monthly Chatter Garden. I love this one so much because it's something that every family can practice. Monthly chatter garden means that you can even name your chatter garden. So my chatter garden can be the Alabi chatter garden. So whatever your surname is, just put it there, Alabi chatter garden. And beyond the fact that you have a family chatter garden, another thing you should please do is that you have a family chatter garden, then your child can have their own personal garden. So I have Alabi chatter garden, then I can have Oyinkonsola's chatter garden. So I will tell you how to use the chatter garden now. So you have your monthly chatter garden. It can be Alabi chatter garden and their personal chatter garden, which is Oyinkonsola's chatter garden. And how does this work? Monthly chatter garden, the first instruction, like I said, is please name your chatter garden. Number 2, write down a keyword on the chatter garden daily. So in your chatter garden, you have obviously 30 or 31 days in your chatter garden. So your chatter garden can be in the form of a cardboard. So you can give each child a cardboard, and it's a monthly chatter garden. So March chatter garden, give them a cardboard, and then you can give them stick-ons. So the stick-on papers that all of us stick on stuff like the yellow papers and all of those things. Yes. So every day, let them write out the most prominent emotion that day. So every day, like Monday, the most prominent emotion can be anger, can be joy, can be this, can be that. So every day, let them summarize their entire day into one. So let them summarize their entire day into one. In your family also, in your family chatter garden, This takes some level of discipline. The only reason why you would think this is hard is because you do not see emotional intelligence the same way you see your school fees and your house rent. Like, this is life. This is life. The reason why you and I are sitting at home is because some people just woke up one day and they felt like being bioterrorists. This is lack of people preservation. That is what has grounded the world, just in case you have no idea. Some people just sat down and they just looked at, oh, okay, so how else can we disturb the world and hide ourselves? Bioterrorism is a serious occupation, just in case you don't know, because bombing is now out of sync. They know that if they bomb, they will most likely die and they will be caught. But this bioterrorism, all you need to do is to release a virus and everybody will be running helter-skelter. And then the people who release the virus, when they are ready, they will provide the solution and then you will pay for it. So it is a form of business, in case you have no idea. So as we are screaming and doing all of this, and some people are sitting down looking for the next thing to plant. So monthly charter garden for families every day. There are 7 families that I'm working with to do this thing. And one of them noticed something, that every day that they dropped their most experienced emotion in their family, like every time they got back home and all of those things, they stuck it there. It was that nobody had to tell them that they were an angry bunch of people. Like, nobody had to tell them. They didn't need a consultant. They saw the report card. Your child also will not need anybody to say it. And it's pretty simple. And another thing I would encourage here is that there are 2 types of kids. So I see some children who like to write. I see some children who like to paint. So I've met kids before that in their charter garden, instead of them writing, they paint it. So they paint the emotion there. So if it's a smiley, so you can do that with crayons or whatever. If your children are younger, but if they are older and they prefer to write, then they should write it. Just put a stick on. And then for themselves, as they do that every day, in the entire week, they will see which of the emotion that is very consistent. And then you can then get them help. Because if it is aggression, if it is joy, if it is sadness, if it is this, is that, from the charter garden, you can see it. From the charter garden, you can see the emotional thermometer of your family. From the charter garden, you can see the emotional health of your child. Like, it can be on their phones also. Let them just put it down, let them drop it, and then you can see it. And if they are younger kids, then you can reward them, so that every month while you are going through all of this, there's a reward system in place for the fact that they followed what you said they should do. So you have the emotional success tracker. The second one you have is monthly charter garden, which is a combination of your daily activities. What you are trying to do with your child is to build them to recognize their emotions. And then you can have a discussion when you see something that you think they need to adjust. So for example, if a child says, oh, anger or sadness, then you can ask questions. What happened? Who did what? You can ask direct questions. And in asking direct questions, this tool is something that parents have even been able to use to identify predators. Because if you see a child who keeps writing sad, one day you should ask, in fact, from the first day, that what exactly is going on here? It may be one uncle molesting one neighbor, anybody. So for kids who are less than age 5, there is something that I'm going to show you now. You can create your own. There's a particular tool that I'm showing you now, but you may not be able to get this tool, but please create your own. But what is important here is that kids have an idea of emotions. So the essence of this is, please go online. You can download like smileys of emoticons, actually, different emotions and all that. Download the emotions and then let your child who is under 5 be pointing. So if something is happening to them, if somebody spanks them or beats them or whatever, a question you can ask every time is, so how do you feel? What's going on? And when you say, how do you feel? What's going on? You drop this kind of cards. So you can see a card here. This is showing that a child feels glad. So please just download the different emotions or emoticons. You can download them. They are pretty online. These are for kids below age 5. Then you can see this one. What is happening here is that it has moved to this particular emotion, which is sad. So it has moved to this particular emotion, which is sad. Under sadness, then you begin to see emotions like this. So when a child begins to point, let me give you an example. There was a particular time, there was a 6-year-old, I went into the parents' house. And as I got into the parents' house, about 10 minutes after, a particular guy walked into the sitting room of that parent, and I was just there enjoying my life. And, the moment this particular man stepped in, I noticed that the child stood up for wherever she was sitting to go and sit near her mother. I know as she sat near the mother, she was tugging at the mother's clothes. When a child is just holding and trying to look for security and safe space. So I was now wondering, I was looking at the guy who came in, I was looking at the mother. The mother was just enjoying her life, gisting, but I could see that the child was already at that point where she was holding the mother like, as long as my mom is here, nothing is going to go wrong. So I was paying attention and then I was looking. So after a while, the man now called the child's name and said, "Oh, come." And the child didn't answer. Then he brought out something from his pocket, like sweet, all those yummy that they bring for kids, yes. And said, "Come and take." And the child said she didn't want. And then the mother, who felt the child was being disrespectful, now said, "Come on, go and make." So I now said, "No, sit down." So as I said, "Sit down," the mother looked at me and I didn't say anything again. So after a while, I think that guy felt uncomfortable. So the guy stepped out. He didn't know who I was. So I told the mother and said, "Give me a minute." So I picked that 6-year-old and said, "Can we go out?" The 6-year-old knows me. So of course she was very excited. So she just followed me. So as she followed me, I started asking her questions. I said, "Do you know that uncle?" She shook her head. She stopped using her voice at that time. So I knew that there was some level of threat involved. So I said, "Do you know that uncle?" She shook her head. So I was like, "You didn't go and collect the sweet from him. Why?" So, "I don't like him." So my next question, I didn't say why. I said, "What did he do to you?" I went ahead to let her know that I already knew something was wrong. So I said, "What did he do to you?" Then she kept quiet. So I said, "What did he do to you?" She didn't answer. But I could see she wanted to say something. You know how you have threatened a child? I could see she wanted to say something. She didn't answer. So I said, "Tell me, what did he do to you?" And then the next thing she said to me was, "He's always touching me and he will say I should not tell my mom." But how did I know that? Because I paid attention to somebody. Because except on some rare occasions, at 6 years old, I'm not sure that when a visitor steps in, you will run away. I'm aware that age 1 and 2, you can be playing funny, those baby skills. But I doubt at age 6, somebody stepped in and she disappeared. And she knew where she disappeared to. So it's a different ballgame if she just sat near her mom without holding her mother. But this time around, she was tugging at her mom. And it was looking like when you are running from the lion's den. But I would never have known if I could not pay attention to emotions. So I know you may not have access to the cards, but the essence of this particular tool that I'm showing you now is what I call the emotional check-in. Emotional check-in, especially if you have kids under the age of 5. Please have emotions and emoticons. It could be something like this smiley. It doesn't have to be something like this, but have different emotions, at least 10, 15 of them per time. And when you are having conversations with your child, you may be asking questions. Every time you see Mr. Daniel, how do you feel? They should point. Let them just be pointing. Let them just be pointing. We can't pretend that they cannot speak. So the essence of emotional check-in is that they will pick and identify the emotion they experience at school and at home. You will be shocked at what goes wrong with drivers. And let me give an example. The first emotional abuse I experienced in my life was with our vendor. He used to come and give us newspapers, and we were living, it was a duplex, yes. So he used to come and give us newspapers, and my grandparents used to send me to take newspapers from him. And every time I went downstairs to take newspapers from him, he would touch my breast, and there was nobody I could tell. I just knew that the thing was wrong, because after that, he would now tell me not to tell anybody. But there was nobody I could tell. And after a while, every time he showed up, I stopped going downstairs, and they never understood why. They never understood why. They never even knew that something was wrong. Then the second person was my brother's friend, Taiwo. In fact, I remember the name. In fact, there was one day I wanted to look for his surname, but I just felt, let me just leave him alone, because if I start a 2020 agenda, I will destroy everything about him. But I just left it. But at that time, I remember Taiwo. Taiwo came before I was age 10 also, and there was nobody I could report him to, because I really did not even fully understand what he was doing. But I knew that whatever I was doing was not supposed to be what adults should be doing to children. So emotional check-in, they may not be able to tell you everything, but if you show them smileys and turn it into a game, just tell them that, oh, after whatever, before they take their Capri Sun or their this or that, they will come and tell you how they felt at school. You show them the the cardboard or whatever you have been able to design. You will do all of this with less than 300 naira, 1,000 naira. That, oh, come and show me. Let them just be showing you daily, their daily emotions at school and their daily emotions at home. Drivers, security men, house assistants, the people that you receive help from, they may just be touching them at places you have no idea. Sometimes these things happen in the bathroom. And ages before 5 are very crucial. I have met a lot of gay men who said categorically to me that they were abused at age 5. At least I know 4 of them in Nigeria that told me that it happened to them at age 5. And they didn't understand, and they were bathing them, they were doing all that, but they were playing with them. And these people had female attendants, and then it became male and all of that. So please check in on your kids. Ask them, what emotion did you experience in school? Just show them something, show them something, show them something. Make it into a joke. Do this as often as possible. I know everybody is busy, but this can happen in less than 10 minutes. Let me give you a good example. It's very easy for us to be carried away and to say that we are working, which I totally agree with. But, I have seen situations in which parents who were so determined to succeed and to ensure that they provided for their kids, I now see that it is those kids that are not giving the parents peace. In the last 2 weeks, I have had situations in which people above age 30 sold their parents' properties. The parents are inside though. They forged paper. They didn't steal the paper. They didn't steal documents. I'm not lying to you. They didn't steal documents. They forged documents, sold it. The parents are alive in the same house. They have sold it. So the owner wants to collect the house now. The parents are knowing. These kids are on several things. And one thing the parents kept on saying was, there's nothing you wanted we didn't do. And in having a conversation with one of the guys, he said, of course, there was something he wanted, he didn't do. But the only thing they didn't do was time. That they didn't raise him. That why are they complaining now? That they were looking for money up and down. So while parents are thinking that they were raising them through money, children are thinking that parents swapped them for money. Yeah, because that's the interpretation. The guy categorically told me. He said, he didn't raise me. They were looking for money up and down. So why are they making you look? In fact, he told his father to his face, you're not my dad. I don't even know who you are. So I was the one who said, which school fees? Who told you how to go to school? Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, like both of them are trying to recover from their health because they just cannot believe it. So please, I know we are all laboring and doing all of that. Emotional check-in, monthly charter garden, emotional success tracker, 3 tools I've given you. Final tool on this is what I call the best self game. I love this one. This one is so fantastic, especially for teenagers, even though the younger ones can also apply it. The best self game. The best self game is supposed to help them do some things that I would itemize here. So the essence of the best self is that best self gives you the permission to pause before you respond. So let me break it down. When you encounter what I call a trigger or a scenario, so all of us experience what I call a trigger or a scenario, or I will use the word when you sense something. When something happens to you through a trigger or a scenario, what is supposed to happen is when there's a trigger or a scenario, immediately your emotions sense it. But the moment your emotions sense it, it is our responsibility to stop it. And that is where the capacity to choose comes in. That is where the capacity to choose your response comes in. So as a child, now that you have kids who know how they feel, because I've seen violent kids also. And beyond the fact that they picked it up from their environment, their parents, and all of those things, it is our responsibility to not only inform them, to now replace that behavior for them. Because it is not just enough to say, oh, this is not what you're supposed to do. This is not what you're supposed to do. Now, what am I supposed to do? So this is where we are implementing the best self game, which is that every time they sense, they must stop. And it is that place where they are stopping that we are coming in. We should let them know that there's a time difference between feeling a particular scenario or experiencing a trigger and a response. It is only a fool that will feel and respond at the same time. So please inform your child that every time they feel something, and it is usually going to end in anger, violence, whatever it is, that the moment they feel, the next thing they should do is to envision their best self. So let me give you an example. A lot of things happen to all of us on a daily basis. And one thing that I do is that when I feel a particular feedback or a scenario, or when somebody gets to me, that is what people usually say when somebody makes me angry. But at Emotion City, we don't believe anybody's making us angry. Yeah, you decide to be angry. So when something happens and I feel, I will show you my Malian behavior. I lived the emotion for 18 years. So if I need to change it for you, it's very effortless. So when something happens and I sit, I just remember, emotions doctor. What have I done? I have envisioned my best self. My best self is that place where you are transcending the natural. You are not going with the feedback or the scenario you are receiving. You are not going based on impulse. You are deciding. And you should tell your kids, it is very simple to implement. So with my 7-year-old, I remember a particular day, he got back home and wanted to do something. And then he needed me to do something for him, actually. And I told him that he should give me some time. And then he started, throwing tantrums. And then I called him and then he came doing, and I told him, I said, so who are you, Jomiloju? He said, oh, Jomiloju is a good boy. I said, is this how good boys behave? He kept quiet. Is this how good boys behave? He kept quiet. I asked him, is this how good boys behave? And I said, no. How do good boys behave? They listen, they do this, they do that. Okay, so are you a good boy? Yes. So what will you do? I will listen. And as he was going, he said, can I give you a hug? The hug was the toast now. Now, it is not very easy because honestly, as I started a tantrum, I just entered my Yoruba spirit. If I rewire your brain. But of course, you and I know that we need to check empowering ways of helping our kids. So if you have any questions in this direction, I deliberately wanted to give us tools. I have mentioned the first one, which is your emotional success tracker, daily success tracker, monthly charter garden, which is also daily. You can also do family, then emotional check-in, especially for kids less than 5. Please pay attention to those kids. You do not have to wait for them to get to puberty or whatever. Pay attention to them. They are human beings. And remember that you are not raising children, you are raising adults. You are not raising children, you are raising adults. You are raising adults. You are raising adults, and parenting is an 18-year project. After age 18, you and I are repairing. We are no more raising. We are repairing, we are no more raising. So has this been helpful to you? We would go, there's no time for break again. We have just about 20 minutes actually. So we should just go into our question and answer session. So here is Mr. Akinroku and here is myself. Please send in your questions. Mr. A, we're back together. Please send in your questions. Please send in your questions. Just type, Mr. A and myself are here. Please send in your questions. Please send in your questions. If you can still hear us, please send in your questions. Like we said, this is recorded, and then we'll send everybody the link on Monday. On Monday. Can you still hear us? Are you with us? Questions, please. Questions, please. Questions, please. Questions, please. Questions. Please send in your questions. Thank you. Please send in questions. Okay, so Omonike, thank you so much. I'm very grateful for these tools. My son would be 9 this April. One thing I find disturbing is once my son has a bad day in school, he begins to say things like he's not good enough. And I try to give him positive words to use. How else can I help? Okay, can you please ask him what usually triggers his bad day? Let's understand what is going on in school, because the word bad day looks to me like subjective. So that means that he can either have a good or a bad day. So please ask him what exactly is going on in school. What does he also mean by a bad day? Or what do you mean by a bad day? Please ask him, and then ask him what he would prefer to be going on. So is there anybody troubling him in school? Is there any teacher bullying him? Because sometimes teachers use some strong words, you know, and they make them feel very uncomfortable. Yes. So we need to know what exactly he defines as bad day, what is going on in school. And then, yes, so I think that one of the tools that you can use is that your chatter, and you can actually use all the 4 of them. So you can use your success tracker and you can use your chatter garden. Please ask him questions. Let's know what exactly is going on and what he would prefer to go on. So in between what is going on and what he would prefer to go on is where you would slot in the best self game. So whatever is going on, always help him to envision his best self, so that the next time he goes to school and all of those things, he can envision his best self. In envisioning his best self, once he senses the trigger, he should stop, envision his best self before he responds. Sense the trigger, stop, envision your best self, and respond. All of this is in 60 seconds. Sense this trigger, stop, envision your best self, and then respond. So I hope that was useful. I will leave Mr. A to respond to Mrs. FFO. She says, I would like to get how to correct a child replacing shouting and cane. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, madam. The first one is, let's begin to, I want to ask, how old is this child you want to replace?
I think she's 6.
She's 6?
Yeah, she has
okay,
6-year-old.
Then the next question is, let's ask for the trigger, like emotion doctor rightly asked. So let me just say this. What is commonly found around among these ages, 3, 4, 5, 6, is maybe when they're throwing tantrum. Maybe they wanted this, they want that, and the parents are saying, no, you can't have everything. So it's simple. At that particular age, 3, 4, 5, 6, there is something when these children, when they fancy some candies, maybe they want to eat something, they really like it, and parents are saying no. At times when they take them to supermarket and they're saying no, throwing tantrums like that. Really what I tell parents is killing tantrum in a child is not really something so serious that parents could actually fret over. Tantrum doesn't really have any solution other than neglect. Neglect the child. It's going to be self-extinguished. But you neglecting the child now has to do with how that child has been previously handled. If the child has been previously handled violently, that means, it will just continue unabated. So that is what I tell parents, that you just leave the child and the thing will just fizzle out on its own. Now, tackling the issue of tantrum or tackling the issue of they want to have everything is simple. You know, at that particular age, there is something that really affects children. It's part of their brain. It's called prefrontal cortex. That thing doesn't really stop growing until when they are fully mature. It will start growing from age 4, but it will stop growing. They're fully matured until a child is around 23, 24. Let me take, for instance, even as an adult, when you really want to buy a particular car, you really want to achieve something, you won't stop until you get to the point you buy that car. And immediately you bought that car, you begin to see that car around. At that particular time, no one has it. But immediately you have it like this, you begin to see it all around you, then you are happy. So as an adult, you are able to control yourself. You are able not to go and steal in a way because you have some self-control. That, okay, let me just walk towards it. But at the tender age of 3, 4, 5, 6, the brain of the child that is very, very responsible to sugary things, that is very, very responsible to something that they are attracted to. They want to get this particular toy, they want to play with this phone, they want to play with that, is not fully developed to be self-regulate such that the child will know that, no, I can't have this. So what parents will do at that particular time, don't shout. Don't shout, then don't give. Don't shout, don't give. Allow the guy be. Just allow him or her be. Tell him you can't have it. And that's all. Not at the particular time when they're craving for that particular candy or any game or stuff like that. If you give him or her at that particular time, the next day, he or she will do it again. Don't give, don't shout, don't beat. Why I tell parents that don't beat, it's simple. You see, when you beat a child not to do something, the responsibility that guy will stop. Because no child wants to be bullied, no one wants to be beaten. No child wants to be doing that. But we have only satisfied ourselves that you are happy. He or she is not doing it again. But we have not really taught the child how to self-correct. While I was growing up, I hated being beaten. I was with my dad. When my dad caused me to do something, I did it 4 times. Because once my dad was a police officer. If he beat you, if he handled you, he will handle you like a criminal. You will not. So I didn't really like it. But immediately I left him for my mom. Every of those things that have been bottled down within me had a free expression. After all, I'm with my mom now. My mom can't beat me. And if he beats me, I will shout. And once I shout, my mom will say, hey, this boy, I will return you to your father. Do you understand? Why did it happen like that? Because my dad was only beating me. He didn't teach me on how to self-regulate, how to be self-reliant. But he was only beating me so that I wouldn't do that thing again. Then I stopped. When I got to the place where there were no restrictions, I was doing it. Even if I had been in another place where there were restrictions, I wouldn't do it. But again, when I now became on my own, when I became adult, when I began to stay alone, I would still do something because I had not been raised on how to regulate myself. I had not been taught on how to do something. That's what I tell parents. When you're talking about discipline, one thing must come to your mind. What is it that you want to achieve? Do you want the child to stop doing what you don't want him to do, what you don't want him or her to do? Or you want to train the child so that by the time he or she is in a place where you are not, the child will self-regulate. So if you are looking for a quick compliance, and you don't want the child to do it again, beating is an excellent strategy. But if you want to train the child in the way it should go, such that when you are no longer there, that child will always know that, I remember when I tried to do this thing, my mom, my dad taught me this is what I should do. Just like what emotion doctor has said now. He's talking about best
self.
Best self. You can see, madam, you can easily use this. Best self strategy, meaning that who are you? I'm a solution provider. Who are you? I'm a savior. Who are you? I'm a good boy. I'm a good child. How does a good child behave? Must you behave this way? Madam, there is no way a child will not remember heart-to-heart talk like this. This is a best strategy to beating. My simple explanation. Thank you.
And the reason why I think that we beat, not that why I think that we beat, why I know that we beat is because we were beaten. I will categorically say to you that I wasn't beaten as a child. My older ones beat me, but my parents did not. And so beating is not in my program. So beating is strange for me. When people say, oh, they can't have conversations, but I will go on to respond to this and then talk about that. So how do you manage a child who is laid back and does not seem to have much of a personal drive and has gone on into teenage years? Okay, so Mr. A will think about that. Then the next question is, my question is, I work with different schools as a consultant, and there's so many negative behavioral patterns, and the excuse of the schools is that the parents are not helping at home. I can imagine are not helping at home. Can you kindly send suggestions? Well, I know that schools are so fast at saying this, that parents are not helping, and I believe them. But I also think that there's a middle ground, because sometimes parents also say that schools are so carried away by the profit and this and that also. So I think that you should ask the schools some questions. What drove them to start? Like, what is their vision? What is their mission statement? Why are they doing what they're doing? Some owners are in business, some owners are in raising kids, some owners are just doing it as part-time, no passion, nothing. So I think it depends on the school. And this is across board in the country, actually. I also work with schools and I see this almost everywhere, and they say parents are not helping. But there's a middle ground and we must get there. And the middle ground is, what can the school do without the parents? And then what can the schools do with the parents? Yes. And everybody has to go on. And then I hope they are paying you for whatever you do. Then how can I help my spouse as regards kids comparison? It truly affects the other kids' emotions. So Mr. A will please take, how do you manage a child who is laid back? And then the child is now a teenager. And then how do you help a spouse who compares? Yeah.
But let me start from the second one. How do you help a spouse who compare within the children, between the children?
Yeah.
The simple answer to that, solution to that is the spouse should, the spouse concerned now, whether the husband or the wife should, as a matter of urgency, try to understand those children. Because it's like us adults now compare themselves to themselves that, oh, I wish I was this woman. Oh, I wish I was the man. Oh, imagine I should have done that. It's because you've not actually tried to know who you are. If you know who you are, you don't need to compare. And at the same time, that was why I said the first environment in parenting that parents must really know is the child themselves. It's going to be pretty difficult for you to raise a child you don't understand. And that's why that particular spouse is comparing. So please stop comparing, because if you don't stop, you are sowing the seed of discordance in that child. He would or she would forever hate the other siblings.
Yeah.
I grew up in a stark polygamous family, like I said the other time. It took me several opportunities to uninstall what has been installed in my life. Life classes severally, prayers severally, grace severally. Do you understand? So we don't need to put our children into this unnecessary emotional torture when they grow up, on unforgiveness. So please, I want to beg, stop and let that spouse try to understand the other children very well. Then back to the first one, a child is laid back. In what particular area is the child laid back? Have you tried to understand this particular child very well? Because at times we push our children to a point where they fall into a kind of performance challenge where they won't be able to meet up again. So for example, while I was growing up, I was good at writing, I was good at drawing. I would make a small magazine. I would use the 2A, that notebook. I would draw everything, draw people with bubble speech. They would be exchanging words with themselves. So when my uncle saw it, he was angry, because they knew that when we tried to write and do something by the we were playing. So he was expecting me to be solving arithmetic. So that is when they know that you are doing something. So he tore the book. And all those things, my mom followed suit. I was, they pushed me to go and study accounting, all those things that I was not really, whether the teacher didn't teach me well or I wasn't really configured for it, I don't know. All I knew then that I wasn't really so good. But when it has to do with writing, reading and writing, explain this, I would do well. So the question is, we really need to know, have we really tested the area of intelligence of this child, the particular child? Because there are 9 areas of intelligence. Academics is there. Sport is one of them. Kinesthetic.
Yeah, kinesthetic.
Kinesthetic is one of them. So we really need to figure out which one does this particular child fall into. Not until you know which one it falls into. I think it permits me to use this word. It's somehow criminal to say that particular child is laid back. I take exception to that word. I don't like that word being used. I'm sorry, I don't know what you have seen, but I just want us to really look deeper into which area of intelligence does this particular child fall into. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have just 5 minutes to go. I'm a stickler for time. Somebody said, any device for single parents raising kids alone? How do we raise healthy kids alone? Like we have said, Mr. A was raised by a single mom. I was raised by a single mom. How do you raise healthy kids alone? By first of all, reminding yourself that you are not a victim. Because if we come from the angle of I'm a single parent, I'm raising this, every child was born healthy. So it is our responsibility to ensure that we are raising them and not erasing them. So you are not at any disadvantage emotionally. So I know that they need men. I know that they need their fathers, and life has happened. But we can't keep getting into life from that perspective that, oh, because somebody is not there, they will not be fully formed. Some of us are here and we're good examples of the fact that you can raise kids well and they can raise themselves. So as much as possible, expose them to positive influences. Let them have friends who believe in the same value as your family values. Let them have relatives or whatever who believe in the same values. If you have friends who do not mind them having sleepovers, but you share the same values, expose them to mentors on time, not tormentors. Mentors. Not mentors, so not those ones who are gay, who are frustrating young boys. But just expose them to where you share common values and all. But please do not show up in life thinking that they are disadvantaged just because, and then who knows, you will get married and your life, a new level of your life will start all over again. So I'm rooting for you and I know you'll be successful at it. So somebody says, when my 9-year-old gets angry, she runs into her room. Is that right? What am I supposed to do? Well, that's how she runs into her room to cry. Yeah, so that's how she explores her emotions. It's okay to cry. It's fine to cry. But after crying, what's next? So is she using tears as a form of manipulation? Or is she just expressing herself? But in between all of that, after the cries and all that, you should have, a conversation. Yes, so I'm not sure I will subscribe to her just crying without talking. Yeah, so let her use her words. What made her cry? What is going on? So if she's crying because she didn't have her way, let her know she will not always have her way and she will always have to cry. So there are other positive ways, but just have an engagement so tears is not used as a form of control, and let her, understand all of that. So we'll take one more question, and whose question is that? Whose question is that? We'll take one more question. Whose question is that? Whose question is that? One more question. Who else has a question? Like we said, this was recorded and this is recorded. You would get the link to the recording on Monday. Please do not reach out to the office. I like them resting. I like them being emotionally stable. They have their lives and their family members. They would send everybody the link on Monday. You can keep listening to them, keep watching them. And something about the link is that if you share the link with somebody else, you would be deactivated. So if you share the link with somebody else who did not pay for access, you will be deactivated. So please, please, please keep the link to yourself. If you share it, you will lose access and we will not be able to help. Has this been worth our time? We have just less than 60 seconds to go. Has this been worth our time, please? Please just give us feedback. Has this been worth your time? Was this value for money? Did you learn something that you can practice immediately from the parenting class to the tools that you were given? Did you learn something? Okay, absolutely worth it. Thank you, Omonike. Who else? Definitely worth your time. Thank you, Lara. Who else? Has this been worth your time? You will watch it again from Monday. Enjoy yourself. And as you watch it, you can take your kids through it, through the tools, through what he said also. Write out your values. Thank you, Mrs. FFO. Thank you, Tosin. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, so you have 4 tools you can always deploy for your children between ages 5 and 17. And like I usually say, when they stick to the tools, please give them rewards. Rewards can be Capri-Sun. If it's an adult, a teenager, it can be credit. 500 Naira today, 1,000 tomorrow. Just have fun implementing these things. If it's a child, Ribena here, something fantastic there. No matter what it is, it should not be more than 1,000 Naira. So that, and then let me tell you how I started reading as we round off. Let me tell you how I started reading. So 2 months before I was born, my father had stroke. Okay, so you can hear me, you can't see me. This is Nigeria that just showed up, but you will see me pretty soon. 2 months before I was born, my father had stroke, and that means that he's been with stroke for about 36 years, yes. But while he had stroke and he was confined to his wheelchair and everything like that, one thing my father ensured that he did was that, my father was a doctor before he had stroke. One thing my father ensured that he did was he ensured that he always gave me a book to read. So welcome back to Nigeria. So he always gave me a book to read. And every time he gave me a book to read, he would say to me that, read this book. When you're done reading this book, I will give you a gift. And of course, I will rush to read it. And when I was done, he would give me a gift. So I did that a couple of times. I will finish the book, he'll give me a gift. I'll finish the book, he'll give me a gift. So one day when I finished the book, I didn't tell him because I picked another book apparently. So he was like, oh, haven't I finished? I said, oh, I finished. So I didn't tell him. I said, no, that I didn't tell him because I didn't want the gift. You know what had happened to me? Initially, I started doing it because of the reward. But I'd read to a point where I had been programmed that I now loved reading. And see my life now, doctorate, I'm moving into professorship. Like, see who I have become. So even though he was confined to a wheelchair, he extended his values. He did value extension, value preservation. And he raised me even though he couldn't speak. He gave me books and he gave me instructions. He will stutter, he will try to write, he will stumble, he will do all of those things. So even on his wheelchair, he enforced and he transferred his values. So I started reading from reward till I loved reading, and I still do love reading. So thank you all of us. Thank you all of us for joining in. Can we just say thank you? Thank you, Mr. A, for coming all from where you came from. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Please, thank you.
Thank you, guys. You will have your recording on Monday. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you so much. So I will be stopping the video now. I would also be muting, so you will not hear me again, and then I will be ending the meeting. Thank you and have a beautiful evening.